order of business that we have is going to be a decision for William Dirch on 483 Dune Road. Someone here for that decision? Okay, well, we have a written decision on that, and the board has a decision to grant that variance as requested. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead and accept that decision as written. Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're all set on that one.
All right.
That was easy for you tonight, huh? You did all the work last month. That was good. Oh, nuts. Megan, would you have an extra pen? Pen, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Anyway, it's not here. Okay, so we're going to get right into some of our holdovers tonight. Our first holdover is Casey and Megan Shanley.
Request another month on that one, please.
Another month?
Yeah, yes, please.
Well, we just like having you on our agenda, Jim.
No, I think we're fast approaching resolution, but if we could get another month.
Okay. So on the case of Casey and Megan Shanley, 86 Harbor Road, I'd like to make a motion that we hold this over for all purposes to our next meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Dan, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All righty. I think this next one is 149 Main Street.
They're held over to November 20th.
Okay, held over to November. We already did that though, right? We don't have to make a motion. Thank you, Megan. Okay, so now we have Glenn Edwards.
I would request an adjournment on that one as well. I know we made a new submission, but I've been out of town for about a week and a half on a family matter and really haven't had a chance to review it. So if we could have another month on that,
Okay.
I'll be prepared to make a presentation next month.
Okay, well, Glenn Edwards, 6 Lake Way. I'll make a motion. We hold that one over for all purposes. Second by Joe. All in favor? Oh, this is moving along really good tonight. Huh?
Brian?
All right, West Hampton Enterprise LLC, 141 Montauk Highway. The applicant seeks a variance from 19730C20B for a proposed wall sign for Cinderella with lettering of 47 inches in height, where the maximum permitted is 12 inches. More stuff?
Yes.
You've been busy. All right. There we go.
Bailey Larkin with Bennett and Reed, offices at 212 Windmill Lane in Southampton on behalf of the applicant. I apologize for the late submission. We did a little research after the last meeting. There were a couple questions raised regarding the size of this proposed sign. As was mentioned at the last meeting, we're proposing installation of a sign for Cinderella Market where the letter C on the sign would be 47 inches tall. This is because due to the logo that and the marketing materials for Cinderella, we're trying to have 12-inch lettering, which is compliant with the sign, for the remainder of the signage, but the C will be 47 inches tall. The question was raised as to what size signage was installed on other properties. And I included as Exhibit A photographs from the Southampton Village Cinderella Market. It's actually a 5-foot-high C on that sign.
5 foot high?
5 foot high, and actually the remainder of the letters are 16 inches tall. So I did try and give you a couple of vantage points. It's going to be very similar to what's installed here, but again, we're 47 inches tall, so it's about 13
47
inches.
and 12, and this is 52 and 16.
It's 60 inches and 16.
So this kind of gives us a little bit of the scale here. as we
Yes.
look at that size.
So what we're proposing here is slightly smaller than what's in Southampton Village. I also included in this application a copy of this board's decision in the 7-Eleven that was installed, where you permitted a 38-inch tall 7 on a ground-mounted sign. Again, we're 47 inches tall, but we are 40 feet back from the street where this sign is located.
And you're going
what-
to be on the wall.
Correct, and it's going to be wall mounted. It's not going to be lit. It's black lettering, which is consistent with the code. But what your decision actually read, I found interesting, is that actually stated in here that with respect to the ground sign, only the 7, which is more akin to a logo, is going to exceed the height limitation. In this instance, I think our logo is the letter C on this sign, which is comparable to what you had decided in the prior decision. I also included a copy of the Starbucks decision where you permitted installation of 16-inch lettering on the Starbucks. And included as D is a copy of the logo sign that's actually mounted to the front elevation on the circle, which didn't actually require any relief from this board because there's no lettering on that logo sign. And then lastly, as at E, I included a copy of a letter from a neighboring property owner who was noticed on this application stating that he had no objection to the application. Again, it's not an illuminated sign, it's simply one letter on the signage itself. It'll allow for visibility along Montauk Highway, which in that section, I actually was reading the street signs, and it's a 40-mile-per-hour limit, which is a little bit faster than village properties are. So unless the board has any other question, I'm hoping that I addressed your concerns.
I think you did.
Okay.
I think you did. We're only talking about the one letter, which is pretty much the logo. And I know that Joe pointed out last month, that, the logo, Coca-Cola, I think, is one that you used as an example.
Yeah, there are quite a few of them. Pepsi Cola too.
PepsiCo, right? But, okay.
Okay.
You guys have any other questions?
No?
Anyone out there watching or hearing comments, anything on this application? Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
So I think if there's nothing else on this, I'll make a motion that we hold it, not hold it over, but we close the hearing for a decision at our next meeting.
Second.
Second by Jimmy, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Bum, bum. All right, Mr. Young, we're gonna be back with you again. The Dime Community Bank, Hampton Coffee, 194 Mill Road.
Good afternoon for the applicant, James N. Hume, 323 Mill Road, West Hampton Beach. With me is Hampton Coffee Principal Jason Belkin. We had a detailed discussion about what we were hoping to accomplish and why we were thinking we needed to accomplish it the last time I was here. We looked at a couple of different things since then, one based on a suggestion that was made by the board, and the other was looking at maybe a larger sign with a similar relief to what Starbucks had. The problem with that is that even with the little bit larger sign, with some size relief, that sign is still 40 feet away from where we want to point out to people where we're at. And the board had expressed a concern that if, I think, at least we attempted to demonstrate that this was a unique property, but the argument that we were making would also be able to be made by the bank itself in order to get a third sign. And so we did have a discussion with the bank, and the bank is willing to commit to not ever seeking a third sign for their use at that location, as long as we had a third sign for our use. So we're, that being the case, we're looking for that third sign, and we're looking for a little bit of relief for the setback from 40 feet to 35.5 feet, I think it is.
So you have something from, now the bank, is the bank the owner of the building?
Yes,
The bank's the owner of the building, so you have something from the owner of the property
right.
that they're willing to say,
They
This
have
is
said
it,
that to
as
us,
far as
yes.
sign goes. They're not gonna-
They responded to my correspondence.
Okay.
And I indicated to them that how this would likely would work is that if you were to approve what we're looking for, we would have to, we would have to submit some kind of a covenant to attach to the property so that that requirement would remain, that restriction would remain.
yeah, Jim, I think that, without a doubt, we would have to have something there that, and that it would only be applicable
Yes,
to Hampton Coffee.
right.
But, I mean, I don't know how it works or what the situation is with the ownership of it. I know, it went from Suffolk County Bank to People's Bank to,
Right.
M&T, and the Dime has changed from BNB, and
Right. I think we'll be able to verify to the satisfaction of the building department and council as to who's actually the owner of the property. It is Dime or some entity that Dime controls. And we could
I
get.
think your idea is fine. I mean, if it comes down to that issue, you guys could condition the variance on the owner, and I'll make sure that it's all done with proper proofs of who the owner is, on the owner signing a covenant that this would be the only ground sign,
Yeah,
and no further applications would be made, and that it would be specific to this business and would have to be revisited if the business, I guess if the tenant changed, right?
okay, yeah,
I mean, that's a possibility.
sure, okay. You know, and we talked about a lot of different properties, a lot of different businesses, and I'm sure you guys, the same thing. I mean, I drove around the village and kind of looked
Yeah.
and see, and I mean, I think this is very unique property.
Yes, yes, it
You
is.
know, I mean, there's no question about that, so, yeah, I mean, that is something of a consideration here.
And that's really all we had to say this evening, I think.
That's it?
Yep, that's it.
That's it, huh? You guys have any comments?
You're welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That was your suggestion, right? Yeah,
Well, it was part of it.
yeah.
All right, does anyone have any comments, questions about this application they'd like to state at this time? No? Okay, then I guess I'll make a motion, we close this hearing for a decision.
Second.
Second by Joe. Good,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, Heather's time, all right. Sweeney Family Holdings LLC, 223 Dune Road, applicant seeks variance from 195-35C for a proposed deck extension with a setback to the crest of the dune of 61.5 feet, where the minimum required is 75 feet.
Good afternoon, Heather Wright for the applicant. We're back here. I think there were two questions by the board. One had to do with the location or the new location of the proposed air conditioning condensers, which I believe the architect spoke with Brad about, and it's okay.
I did also.
You did, okay. So I think that issue is resolved?
It's a mood issue, right?
Mood issue. And then, so we took a look at the proposed deck extension and the comments from the board. And so what we are proposing now is to remove the circular portion. So essentially we'd be squaring off the deck as opposed to adding this circular portion at the end, which would remove approximately 90 square feet. So really what we're looking to do, and it's easy to see on this photograph, is just expand the area, the south area of the deck that's only 3 feet wide right now, and make it extremely difficult to move around the deck and from a safety perspective. But we thought, given the board's concerns, that removing that additional 90 square feet which was really, you know, it sort of matched the design of the second floor decks. That's why we were proposing it. But we can easily remove that and sort of still get the space around the deck that we are looking to for a, you know, from a safety perspective.
So how far now, what's the distance
So
that you
it would,
need?
the new setback would be 64 feet as
Instead of
opposed,
61 and a half that you're looking for?
correct.
Just wanted to make a couple of comments. As you look at probably 80% of the homes that have pools on Dune Road on the ocean side, the majority of them, you know, have decks and pools situated exactly where this one is, where they have access to the pool from either two or three areas, but generally not on the ocean side. If you look, that's an observation, you know, the vast majority. And I believe that's, you know, when these homes are being built, they have a certain footprint that they want to work with, and they want to maximize, you know, the living space. And the pool and the deck area, you know, it's pushed out. And the thought may be that, okay, we just need access from 2 or 3 points, you know, from the house, not so much from the backside. So that's what I see. The The other things I pointed out last, at the last meeting, that the variance itself, it's not a hardship. It's not a practical difficulty situation. It's just that, okay, we want more deck. So it's just challenging, from those two viewpoints.
I hear what you're saying, but I think that you can look at it from the other perspective too, which is we didn't, my clients bought the house this way, they didn't build it, right? So, and now that they've lived with it, the design of the home is such that there is a practical problem that they have moving around the pool with respect to the 3 feet between the fence and the edge of the pool. And all these homes on Dune Road, have, that come here and ask for variances, is there a practical difficulty? I mean, is there a hardship? Everybody claims there's a hardship because they're constrained by the 75-foot setback from the road and the 75-foot setback from the crest of the dune, and the fact that most of these lots are extremely narrow. So here, because we're not building from the ground up, we don't have that ability to knock the house down and start from scratch. We're just looking to expand the deck so that it is, from my client's perspective, it is a safety issue, and an important one. So, we heard what you said last time, which is why we are proposing to remove the circular part, because we don't really need that, but we do need the space between the fence and the pool, in order to have better ability to use it and from a safety perspective. And I think, yes, maybe some of the designs of the homes are consistent with what you described, but I did give the board an example of one home that the board granted a similar variance because of the narrowness on the south side of the pool and the deck.
It just, I guess my third point is it kind of opens the door to these homes that do have situations where that south side, there's no access or there's very little access to the swimming pool. And they may be right at the 75-foot mark, and it opens the door for them coming in, especially your neighbors to the east. They're clearly in the same situation. It's just one more challenge for the board, when these applications come in and they bring perhaps your decision in and say, well, you granted this over here, this is what we would like also. So just for the record.
No, I hear you, and I think all of the decisions on home, all of the applications on homes on the south side of the Dune Road present challenges for this board, because many of those applicants are asking for relief from this board for accessory structures such as decks and pools encroaching into that 75-foot setback because of the constraints, the narrowness and the setback constraints and the location of the crest of the dune. So I think the board's in a tough position on every one of these applications, but I think that you can look at each application on its own set of facts, and I think that you do. And I think here you could look at this one and you can recognize that there really is no other place for the applicant to expand the deck. They're not looking just for a bigger deck. They're looking to expand the deck very strategically so that they can maneuver, or how, the owners and their family and their kids can maneuver around the deck safely.
Heather, how many additional feet will be added to the deck behind?
It's going from 61, the setback, 61 to 64. We were proposing, we're adding approximately 7 feet and change.
7 feet, so it'll be 10 feet from the pool to the fence now.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
I don't have anything else right now, Heather.
I'm sorry. We're gonna talk later.
Come right up. I would like you to come on up.
So, Tara Noonan, I have a question, because we're
You
going
can state your name and your.
Tara
address.
Noonan, 38 Lagoon Villas, Isle of Palm, South Carolina. I'm the owner of 95 Dune Road.
Okay.
So I do have a question, because we may have a similar conversation. So does this set the precedent that she is the one that her property would then be the closest to the ocean? Or is everybody else in line at the 75-foot demarcation? The reason I ask is where I live, one of these houses that had the exception, the pool just went into the ocean. Okay, so I'm very conscious of how far do you go on the
Yeah,
dune
that's a good question.
crest?
That's a
And if hers is gonna be now pushing the limit the furthest, does everybody else get to come back and say, well, you did it there, I might do the same thing?
Well, that's exactly Joe's point.
Right.
Exactly, because we have to consider each application in its own way. I mean, the one thing about this property is I think it's about 600 feet from the road to the ocean, if I'm not mistaken, also. So this is, we're talking about 75 feet from the crest of the northernmost dune. So, and it's a very, very serious point that we take. So there's no automatic for anything. If
But do
that's
we
what you
know
mean.
if they would be the closest to the ocean at this point, so
Well,
that
no,
other
they're
people
not.
would
That
ask
I
for
can
it?
tell you that they're not. There are other houses that, they're not gonna be the closest, for sure. I know there's, we have a 59-foot once for someplace, I forget where it was. So anyway, this is all, we take every single application on its own merit.
Okay,
And these are all things to consider. So I think if I understand your question, there's no automatic, you know, oh, well, she got 65 feet, so we all get 65 feet now. That is absolutely not the case.
but it doesn't prevent neighbors from coming and asking for the same thing. So then all
We
of a sudden now
have,
there's a new unofficial code.
What we have here in the village of West Hampton Beach is that when people look for relief, they can come before this board and ask for anything they want. Okay, there's no rule that says you can't ask for something. But we consider everything in its entirety, and we've joked about it in the past. I said you could ask for a heliport in your front yard. Doesn't mean you're gonna get it, but you can come and ask for it. Okay, if you wanna go through the time, effort, and expense to do it, you might be wasting your time. So I mean, but there's no regulation of what you can and can't ask for.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a revised plan?
No, we would have to submit an updated
Yeah.
survey in advance of the decision. I just wanted to propose this to the board.
Okay, so what you described earlier, because I was trying to find it on the plan, and I couldn't find it.
It's not there.
No. I'm curious as to how did they get the pool and the deck to be 61 feet to begin with?
There, I don't know the answer to that because there was no variance decision.
The only variance decision that I've seen is builder's error on the side yard.
Correct.
You know, and there was a note also in that
I saw that.
decision
Yeah.
that says we wouldn't look favorably on any further variance requests on this property.
Yeah, and I thought that was peculiar, and I thought perhaps there may have been more to that decision. Again, my clients were not the owner at the time that
Right.
that decision was issued. I think, what was it, 2014, or it was quite some time ago.
It was a while ago.
And I thought that that was a little odd because it's not normally language this board puts in the decisions that I've seen. And I thought, given how minor the variances were, in fact, so I think the one side, I was surprised that it even had to come before the board because it
Half a
was,
foot?
yeah.
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 I
so-
saw that. I think it was total side yard. It was,
So I wasn't sure if, if there was more to it that I wasn't aware of, but I didn't find anything in the building department file. But that doesn't preclude you from obviously granting this variance.
I mean, the original deck was 69. So, I mean, the dunes moved, so it's possible that when it was originally built, it was
yeah, I didn't see a variance.
65 at that point.
Yeah. The dunes, you think they would move that much? 13 feet?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's what it was.
If you look
No,
on the
it-
survey, it shows the mean high water mark was at one point way up on this property.
It would only be 6 feet. It was originally 69. They were asking for 61, now they're asking for 64.
I'm sorry, what was that, Brett?
The original deck is 69 from the top of the bluff, top of the dune, so it's not that far from 75, but they were asking for 61, now 64, so
Right.
I could see in 20 years' time the dune moving 5 or 6 feet plus. It depends on what the topography was that was submitted to the building department at that time.
And Jerry, I want to go
Yes.
on the record as saying there may have been a time when the board used language like that.
Uh-huh.
We don't use language like that anymore because every application is entitled to be looked at on its merits.
Right.
So to have a board prejudge a future application and say, we won't look favorably on, I don't believe that's proper. So
Okay.
we would never include language like that in decisions anymore.
Yeah, the only time I've ever seen that in the past was with the 25%.
Yeah, I wanted to say that on the record because it's not,
Yeah.
it may be in the record as a prior decision, a statement of a prior board, but I don't believe that's the law, and that would be a permissible thing to base a decision on a past statement like that.
Yeah, no, thank you, Tom. Thank you. Well, I think we probably, could we close it before having the revised,
Did you make sure nobody else?
yeah, well,
We could close it subject to
Submission.
receipt, let's say within 10 days, 15 days? Can't be later than 2 weeks from now.
I'm just thinking logically, I'm not gonna be here the week of 11th, I don't come back till the 17th. We can get it on before the 10th of November.
well, we can hold it.
So what's that, 2
Well, we haven't
weeks?
closed the hearing yet anyway, so.
That would, like, in order to write it.
Yeah, well, how about you do that? You can make the motion to close it, subject to receipt within 10 days. If it's not received, it may have to be held over again.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, so before we close this hearing, other comments, questions? No, okay. So I think that, I'll make a motion, we close the hearing based on the fact of 10-day submission for that
Great.
increased plans. How's that?
Second.
Second by Jim, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Tom. All righty. Number 7 on our agenda tonight, Mitchell Talisman, 473 Dune Road. Applicant seeks a special permit pursuant to 19729C1 to combine 2 one-bedroom dwelling units designated as 6B and 7B into 1 two-bedroom dwelling unit with a pre-existing non-conforming multifamily co-op building. Good
Hi,
evening.
I'm Debbie
Good
Croft.
afternoon.
I'm the architect for Mitchell Talisman. And so this project is at the Sandpiper, and it's a pre-existing non-conforming use. It's a multifamily co-op building in an R3 residential zone. So the owner owns unit 6B and 7B, and he would like to combine the 2 units together, so create 1 two-bedroom unit out of 2 one-bedroom units. The last time a special exemption permit was granted was in 2020, where the homeowner had requested the same thing, to combine the units. So it's currently, the CO is for 49 units. It has 44 one-bedroom units and 5 two-bedroom units. So this would be reducing the number of units to 48, from 49 to 48. And I know there's certain criteria that the project has to meet in order to be granted a special exemption permit, and I can go through them if you would like. So for example, no enlargement, extension, or expansion of the non-conforming use. And this is already reducing the number of units in the building, so it is not increasing, it's actually decreasing the non-conforming use. It does not increase the degree of nonconformity, again, because it's reducing the number of units. It is located in this existing structure, so it's not creating any increase of any kind. And it's not a multiple use, it's all a single building of residential, multifamily residential. The off-street parking, it's actually more beneficial because each unit has its own parking. So now for
for one unit, they'll actually have additional parking spaces. Let's see, what else? Is there the absence of change in the nature of the character of the nonconforming use, except for reduction in the degree of nonconformity? And so again, it's not really changing anything. It's keeping within the same structure. It's just combining two units. And is there the compliance with dimensional requirements? Again, it's an interior alteration, so it's not affecting any setbacks. Does the change beneficial to the neighborhood? And I'd say yes, because it's reducing the number of units in the building, so reducing the density. And I believe that's it. I guess there was a fire in the building in 2015. Prior to that, 2 units had received a special exemption permit prior to the fire to combine 2 units. After the fire in 2020, there was a special exemption permit granted. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward.
I have
Do you have any
I have
questions?
one question.
Yes.
Sandpiper's a co-op or a condo?
It's a co-op.
I think we're gonna need a signature from the co-op to authorize the application. I'm not seeing it in the application.
No,
but
I just have the individual unit owner.
Technically, she's not the landowner.
Not the
So,
landowner,
she's
no,
a
she's a
shareholder.
shareholder, and so I have the shares
I-
certificates.
I understand, but from a legal standpoint, the owner has to authorize the application to be made. So
So the
you're gonna have to
board-
submit some kind of owner's authorization from the board, the actual entity, to
Okay,
authorize her to make this application. She's authorized you to make the application, but she, as a shareholder, she has no individual right to bind the property, okay?
okay.
So
So
we're
the
gonna need
president of the
something-
board needs to,
You're gonna need something from them
okay,
to authorize the application to be made.
okay. That could be.
Should
done.
be doable, but
It was doable, and it's funny because I wondered about that, because the last time I actually did the application in 2020 for the owner of those 2 units, and I saw in my records that there had been something from the president of the board, but this time there was nothing that I saw that required that, but it should be possible to get that. Pretty easy.
So, do we have to wait to have that?
we have a
Yeah,
public
just 1
comment.
second, I just got a question for you.
Yeah.
Do we have to wait till we get that?
I mean, that's up to you. Like, could close it subject to receipt of that, but for the sake, it's one piece of paper, it's not,
Right.
it's not
So we
gonna
can close
change.
it. We
It's not
can-
gonna really, let's put it this way, would that be up for discussion if,
That's just a legal hurdle.
Exactly.
So, no,
so
that's
I
what I was
don't
asking.
think you need to
Thank you.
hold it open, but if you wanted to, you could.
Good, thank you, Tom.
But just if you do close it, make
Yeah,
it
the-
subject to
Subject to.
receipt of that owner's authorization.
Thanks, appreciate it.
If it was condo, would it be the same situation or no?
Condo's different, because condo, the individual unit owner actually has
How about that?
legal ownership from a
That's
real property standpoint.
I asked for just owner of it, I didn't think to
No,
ask.
that's okay.
I should have known better, since I'd done it before. But I thought, oh, maybe they changed the rules, so.
Well, it's just another step for you to go through, I
I know.
guess, right?
I do have a comment, I'm sorry, and I'm really hoping this doesn't alienate me. Again, Tara Noonan Amaral, I'm a trustee of a property at 473 Sandpiper Unit 9A, and I'm talking on that behalf. I do have a question, and this may not be in your purview, but in other properties that I live or manage, there has been a concern when there is a combining of the units that the improvements that the owners actually put additional weight and structural challenges to the units below it. My mother's unit is below, not kind of catty corner to that unit. So we're already seeing cracks from normal settling because the unit's only 5 or 6 years old. Does the board oversee any sort of the magnitude if you're combining, changing bathrooms, the footprints, that the additional weight could have an impact on the units below. This has been a problem in other properties that I've been in.
It's definitely not a zoning board issue.
Okay, so that would be the co-op board, probably.
Could be, it could be a building code issue.
Building code issue.
I don't know, but it's not a zoning board issue. I
Okay.
can tell you that.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
all right,
Weights and measures.
yeah.
Oh, so do I have a specific time frame in which to bring that
Uh,
in a week or so?
let's put it this way. It's subject to getting it. The sooner you get it, the more likely you could be on the next agenda. The longer it takes, you may not have a decision on the next meeting.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
it's kind of up to you to,
If you get it within 10 days, I think we can write a decision for November, if not,
it may be December.
If the board approves it.
if the variance is granted.
Just said decision, didn't say,
Right, it's a decision.
but we can't even write a decision without the
Right.
Without it.
owner's authorization.
All right, great.
Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion, does anybody else? I'll make a motion, we close this hearing pending the receipt of the owner authorization
Second.
for decisions, second by Dan. All in favor?
Aye.
All righty.
It's 4 in a row we closed.
We got another decision. Oh, wow. Okay. Number 8, Bettina Witchett, 17 Jessup Lane, applicant seeks variances from 197-29-1A for proposed one-story addition which increases the floor area within the required rear yard 36.2 inches, 36 feet 2 inches existing, proposed 50 required, side yard 29.5 existing, proposed 30 required, and combined side yard 47.6 existing, proposed 70 feet required, representing a proposed increase in the degree of nonconformity of a dwelling with substandard rear, side, and combined side yard setbacks. Hello.
Good evening, Dave Rodigan. I represent Bettina Wittich
Uh-huh.
for 17 Jessup. I'm profoundly deaf. I do read lips. It would be easier for me to make my presentation there. And if I have difficulty, my wife is here to help me. That microphone is working.
Yeah, let's do it.
What do I do? I do have some handouts if it would make it easier to follow my presentation.
Whatever you have, you can submit your hand out to us.
May or may not be needed.
I can help you with that. I'll help pass it down.
Okay. I've lost my paper.
Is this the same thing you gave us?
No, that's good. Grab somebody else's stuff. I'll just give you a quick synopsis. Years ago, the homeowner called me and says, Dave, I really want to be able to improve my house. It's too small. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch. at 17 Jessup. I said, well, you're under the gun with regards to the zoning, and you're under the gun with regards to FEMA regs. It's in a flood zone. We took the liberty to approach Brad Hammond, says, what's the process? We want to go through and see if we can make this happen. FEMA has something in their regulations that if you keep the number under a certain price, certain total cost, which was 50%. I approached FEMA and they helped me through it. I presented Brad with and you can see on that first page, the letter I sent to Brad, suggesting that he do a FEMA review to see if we qualify to stay under that certain cost point. On the back of that same is his decision. He said, we did qualify, and so that's why we're here. We took and made a building application, which of course was, denied. It seems like the situation is that you cannot improve or put improvements when the rear yard setback is 50, and we have an existing setback of 32 feet 6 inches. To make a long story short, this house pre-existed prior to the present zoning. There's no way I could even get a birdhouse on there without going through some type of variance relief. So our quest is, and if you see the survey, it's a small addition, 118 square feet, and it stays within the existing confines of all of the setbacks. So we're not asking for greater relief. It's relief already pre-existing. When the house was built in I think it's prior to 1960, the codes, I believe, changed, you would know more than I or Brad might, changed in the mid-60s. So it's impossible to do anything on the property without coming before you. Also, there is a quick, small plan of what it's going to look like. It's not offensive to the neighborhood. All of the houses are small, similar. And so our appeal is that given the evidence that we presented and just logical reason, we find that it does not in any way cause any kind of environmental harm, is not a disaster to the neighborhood, will not decrease values. So if you have any questions or need of clarity, I ask that you do that now.
Dave, you said you were gonna do everything within you're gonna do everything within the existing footprint?
Everything is within the existing footprint. It does not go outside of the setbacks that are already existing for the existing structure. I guess you have in your code that you cannot increase the floor plan in a setback that is non-compliant. I do some work in the town of Southampton. This would not even need a variance in that town. So it's minimal at best. And so we make that plea that you give Bettina Wittich the relief.
And you're going to convert the garage into part of the living area of the home, is that correct?
The garage is 200 and some square feet. It's a one-car garage. There's a plan there. You can take a peek. It's in this side here.
Gotcha. Okay.
And besides causing the garage become habitable space, we're adding an addition of 118 square feet to make a larger family room. So it's a simple plan. And I don't know if I've explained it well enough, but if can you see what the extension is? The existing garage, I think it's 338 square feet into habitable space. It'll make a family room. There's no bathroom involved, no plumbing involved. That's it.
Future parking will just be next to it,
Um,
like that, the driveway.
Driveway doesn't get touched,
Right.
nothing. So it really did, not a huge project, but it'd make somebody very, very happy if he said yes.
I have a question for you. How old is Bobby now?
How old is Bobby?
Isn't that the boy who lives there that you want to play room for?
I'm not sure I can answer that question.
I knew a friend of
Oh, you knew a
Betina's.
friend.
No, I knew a friend of her
Oh, okay.
that knew the boy,
Well,
that's
she's
why.
here if you want to ask that question directly.
So, okay, I
Okay.
had to throw you a curveball there.
Very stern of you.
Yeah. I don't, you guys have anything else on this app?
No, pretty clear and
Pretty
straightforward.
straightforward application. Brad, did anything, anybody have any input on this application? Okay, we're all
I'd
set.
like to say one more thing. I want to thank Megan publicly and Brad,
Uh-huh.
beautiful people.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Yeah.
They make it so easy for us.
All right.
Okay.
I think we can get them a raise.
We're not touching that one, my friend. All righty. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I think if we're all set, I would like to make a motion that we close this
Second.
hearing for decision. Second by Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Oh, boy, oh, boy. All right. Let's see, Jim, request for extension, waterfront equities, 17 Library Avenue.
Yes, for the applicant, James N. Hume, 323 Mill Road, West Hampton Beach. As you see, well, back in 2014, my client was seeking to develop this property, which is located in the MF20
Yeah.
with two single-family residences, and he obtained a variance for that purpose back in 2014. The project lay dormant for a while, and now he's back in earnest, and we're in front of the planning board and for this project. And in fact, the planning board has deemed the application complete, and we're having a public hearing next week on this issue. His approach, during his approach and application to the planning board, he assumed that the zoning board approval from 2014 still applied. But obviously, it has the limiting condition that most of your variances have. So in a discussion with the building inspector and with the planning board, it was suggested that we might be able to come back and seek an extension of that variance rather than having to apply for a whole brand-new variance for essentially the same thing. The project has, just to quickly go over it, the relief that was granted in 2014 was for Lot 1 was a lot area variance of 14,422 square feet instead of 20,000. A single side yard of 10 feet as opposed to the required 15. A total side yard of 25 as opposed to 40. And setback for a gazebo of 10 feet rather than the required 15 feet. Lot number 2 required lot width of 15 feet as opposed to the required 75, and 35 feet total side yard as opposed to 40, and also fill within 5 feet. That was the original grant. The project, the relief actually is a little bit reduced. We're still looking for 14,000 plus square feet. The single side yard has been increased from 10 feet to 13.8 feet, so we still need some relief there, but it's not quite as much. And the total side yard is actually at 20.8 feet as opposed to the 25 feet that was granted. As it pertains to lot number 2,
Excuse me, Jeff.
so it is increased to 28.8 feet
Instead of?
instead of 25, the total. And there's no gazebo, so the relief that was granted for the gazebo is unnecessary. As to lot number 2, there was a lot width because it was a flag lot, but there was a subsequent change to the village code, which allows for a 15-foot wide flag lot, so that variance isn't needed anymore. The total side yard for lot number 2 is now 43.7, which exceeds the requirement, but we're still looking for the fill within 5 feet. So the relief that we're looking for is the same or less. And we're just looking to see if you would just extend that original grant so that we can proceed with the planning board. I believe the project is going forward this time. The house that was there is long gone. There has been some activity in removing some of the foliage from the property and putting in some electricity, I believe, just for the purpose of being able to build the project. But nothing that would have required, as we discovered before the planning board, nothing has been done that would have required a building permit, but some activity has begun there. So that's basically what we're looking for.
How long are you looking for an extension for, Jim?
I asked for 180 days. I think that should be enough to get through the planning board and get a building permit.
It's been 11 years. So
It
that's
has.
another 180 days.
Exactly. I was afraid to ask for a year, so I asked for 6 months.
Well, why don't we think about doing it for a year?
Okay, that
That'll
would
give
be
you
fine.
some time, and this way you don't have to come back here if we're gonna grant the extension.
That would be perfect.
What would you think, Joe?
Thank you.
Yeah, and I guess it'd be up to, Brad and Tony, the material changes, they're taken care of somewhere in-house, right?
I mean, there's some variances that fell away, but it's clean, it's easier. Because, if the board grants a bunch of variances and they don't take advantage of all of them, that's fine.
Okay.
Right, they're not adding anything, they actually took in a few, they don't need
Yeah,
as
if it's
many.
getting more significant, that's one thing.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, we looked at I didn't see any changed circumstance that would sort of negate the original decision, so.
Okay.
Zoning hasn't changed, the wetland
The
hasn't.
wetland line hasn't changed. Yeah.
It's still the same, roughly the same buildings they were looking for years ago. Nothing's really changed.
Not like the dunes, huh?
Okay.
Okay,
Perfect. Thank
so
you.
why don't we do it for a year?
All right, that'll be
Right, this will
Better.
give you, because sometimes these obviously don't go as smoothly and fast as you'd
sure.
like.
Well, a year is the standard time we now give, like back in the day, it used to be 180 days.
Yeah.
but 2025, we always give a year.
Oh, okay.
just to
Well,
avoid,
since it had some age on it, I was a little hesitant to ask for an entire year, but if you're willing to grant that, we would certainly accept that.
So I'll make a motion that we extend that for a year, the extension.
Second.
Second by Jim, all, we good?
Thank you. If you could just indulge me for one other extension, which is not anywhere near. I had submitted a letter to Megan on 7 Cox Curve.
Was I raised? He did, and I think I forgot to you guys.
And there is,
That's what I just said, thanks, Jim.
I'm sorry. There is a building permit application pending, which I think was filed prior to the expiration of the zoning board approval. A building permit was in fact filed for, but it has not yet issued. So we're looking for, to have that zoning board approval, which expired on in August, for another 6 months, so that we can get the,
What's the address?
7 Cox Curve. Contrucci was the owner. And you granted the relief back in August of 2024, so. And as I said, the building permit application was filed before the zoning board had expired. But Brad is a little more comfortable if we could get that approval extended, so that it covers the time when, because the
Cox Curve?
decision did require
Right.
the building permit to
problem
be
doing
issued.
that,
I
right?
mean, the actually
That's
issued.
good. Okay, I'll make a motion, we go ahead and approve that extension.
Thank you very much.
Are we doing that a year or 6 months?
Well, we do a year, that's what we're doing now, a year,
Okay, 1 year.
right?
Yes, and Tony and
Okay.
Tony may remember from law school that this is a nunc pro tunc extension now for them, so.
Nunc pro tunc.
Nunc pro tunc, yes. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Okay. Now we have a discussion. We have a discussion for Egret Dune Corporation, 95 Dune Road. The applicant's requesting the BZA to consider allowing them to submit a new application to reconsider a new home at the subject parcel, which was subject to a prior determination and denial. So what do we?
That was my old house, she was getting the approval on, but
Look at that.
I lived at Second Cut.
Huh? Yes, I remember, I remember Mr. Noonan's house. Yes.
So first of all, thank you.
Can you go to the podium?
Oh,
Sorry.
I don't know if this is a public hearing or not.
Well,
It's
it's a
not, but
discussion.
it's gonna be on the record. I mean, well,
All right.
maybe I should put a little context on this request. If you guys remember, I'm sure you remember, because
Remember it well.
95 Dune Road was before the board for probably 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Prior, I don't know if it's the prior owner or sort of the prior shareholder, same owner, right?
Prior owner, no ties to me.
No, but Egret Dune Corporation
Was
was the applicant.
Correct,
It is still the applicant.
correct.
I understand that Egret Dune Corporation shares may have transferred to somebody else, but it is still the same applicant. Let's be clear, right?
I'm clear on that.
Okay.
From your perspective, I'm sure they're clear of that.
I understand,
From their
but-
perspective, okay?
okay.
And that was one of my questions that I
Okay.
had when I was first discussing.
So
moving it.
So Egret Dune Corp. had made an application, it started with Nick, it went to a different architect,
Different attorney.
had Hugh Merle at one point, and
Somebody else
then,
had another point.
it ended with Mr. Haefely. The decision was made, I think you all have a copy of the decision, probably. It was, litigation was started. And the board's decision was upheld by the courts. So, they have made a request for consideration of a modified application. And the way it works is if the modification is material enough to be considered a new application, then they have a right to make the new application. If it's basically the same, not a material change to the prior application, then it's subject to the reopening process, which requires one board member to make a motion to reopen the decision, followed by a unanimous decision of the board in order to reopen it. So I think the only question before you first is it a materially different application, one that is likely to change the reasoning of the prior decision? That's probably the right way to look at it. So, I mean, if you guys, it's up to the board whether to hear comments of the applicant or not, but that's the context of what you have to decide. Okay?
It's not gonna be the Eiffel
You
Tower.
can't just shout out from there.
May I?
Go ahead, Nick.
Okay, so this board, obviously, between Jim, you and myself, we're here quite often, okay? I have the tendency to listen, and I think I listen well, comments that the board made. And I think after I lost reasoning, or there was no reasoning with the prior owner, and they made presentations of what they wanted and didn't listen, things got bigger, things got taller. At one time, the house got much wider, much to my advice not to do that. Obviously, I was no longer the architect, no longer representing them. And I don't think the prior applicant when they took over the job, listened very, very well. We have a situation here where I think that if this board granted the request to let us go back to a new application public hearing, you would see that the application that we're making would be smaller, would be shorter, would be less obtrusive in the eyes of this board, although I don't think, the point is, it would be less of what was there before. So I think the application would be substantial in nature, although there's no getting around. I mean, the biggest hiccup is the width of the property and the setbacks that we would be looking for the side yards, okay? Which would be less of a degree than was presented before this board with the prior application. That's what what we would be looking to do, okay? So a smaller house, a shorter house, because by virtue of the flood zone, not taking advantage of what we're permitted height-wise, we would certainly lower to a degree where it would pretty much be invisible on that site, both from the property from the east and certainly from the property to the west, which is village-owned property. Certainly, we would meet all the requirements of setbacks from top of the dune, which is, I know, is something that, we like to do and we need to do. Obviously, we wouldn't need any front yard setback, and we certainly wouldn't need any kind of lot coverage issues. So the presentation that would be made before this board would be for side yard variances only, and there would be a significant reduction in the size of the house. And that's what we're asking this board to consider. Obviously, we have a new owner who has better ears, who will listen well, and reason well with the board.
The same owner,
But
yeah.
again, okay, I'm sorry. A different shareholder of the corporation. So, that's,
Are you gonna, we never even established if this was a building lot. That was one of the biggest points of contention, if I remember correctly.
But I thought-
Because this was gonna be just an access to the ocean from,
I think
the other
that was,
side.
and again, I'm not gonna speak from the legal standpoint, I'm just here to talk to you as the architect, but I think, council is here to, to say that it is.
Oh, wait, that was resolved. So that issue, this is why, you get into a strange territory. It was absolutely decided by the zoning board in the last application that this property was originally was really an access strip. It was never intended to be a building lot. That decision was challenged in court, and the court upheld the zoning board's decision. It can't be re-litigated at this point, okay? So I'm not saying you can't make an application or a request to reconsider and all that, but you can't re-argue something that's been decided against Egret Dune Corporation and in favor of the zoning board, and it has to just have a do-over, unless you get a unanimous decision by the board.
So, in the eyes of the board, legally, we don't have a legal lot or buildable lot. Is that what I'm understanding?
yeah.
You read the decision, right?
So,
The decision is what it is,
May-
that was
Okay.
never shown
Joe,
that
do
this
you
was
have that
intended to be a
decision?
building
Could you
lot.
give that back to me?
Oh, this one?
Single and separate.
The one that I showed you on this property?
Today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, I mean, we were round and round about this. We were like, this was before us for a long time. When we denied it, then it went to the Supreme Court and got denied. And I don't see a significant difference in an application where you say, well, we'll make it smaller. It's still,
It's still the
it's
fact
still
that
the fact, all
lot
the facts are
is
gonna be
what
the
it
same
is,
what
and-
the lot is.
So, I mean,
So-
I was getting a different opinion from the attorney, okay? And, if you don't mind, I'll step aside on that point, and I'll ask Mr. Merrill to, have that discussion while you're
course.
looking at that decision, and,
It's
maybe-
we're having a discussion, that's
It's
so
a
we're-
discussion, this is not, yes,
absolutely.
absolutely, I understand that, so. And this is a discussion from an architect standpoint that I don't wanna have to discuss, without, having legal, someone discuss it, so. If you don't mind, I'll ask, you just to step in.
Thank you.
Good evening, Hugh Merrill, 44 Mill Road, West Hampton Beach. I was the attorney, and then I also stepped out when Nick stepped out, when the other entities took over. We actually went, I can get you a copy, Nick has a copy, I don't have it with me. We went to we had title work done, and there was a decision rendered that it was single and separate.
You?
I know they went to court.
No, 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 no,
I-
no. No, it's not just that. We got into we spent 2 years getting into this application, including very detailed title searches. Mr. Haefely presented title evidence. I had title searches done myself to try to understand this property, and the owner never showed up to explain any of it, okay? So, for better or worse, we went through the process of studying the title to this property in detail, including its connection to the property across the street. So the argument that it was single and separate was made, but it was also addressed that it was always connected to the property across the street until, what's her name? Carrie Coakley and McPherson acquired it and then split it in that mortgage, whatever you want to call it. That's all laid out in the decision. You can't relitigate that, okay?
So it comes down to, in good faith, whether the board would consider it. It is de facto siblings. I get it. I hear everything you're saying to me. But if the board would consider it de facto single and separate, it's totally in your bailiwick. It's up to you. We don't want to waste the board's time, but what we're looking for is a local girl wants to put in maybe 1, 2-bedroom little house. It would be beneficial to beneficial to the community. It'll be, there'll be more of the tax base here. That's what we're looking to do. We're not, and you do remember when, the gentleman came up and he said, we could build the Eiffel Tower. I knew it was all over from that point of view. So, I was like.
I was in that, I was scared that night, I was like.
Oh my God.
Wait a minute.
So, it's like.
I understand everything you're saying, but basically, what you're asking us to do is open up and go through it all over again, something that we spent a lot of time, and then it went to Supreme Court, and they upheld our decision, and we might as well just open up if we do it, we'd have to open up every decision we've ever denied here in the village, because people say, hey, come on, let's do it again. And that's.
One could argue that it wasn't presented properly. And if we're just looking for a shot.
Not
to
after 2 years. You can't
What?
argue that.
I don't
And
know.
Mr. Haefely did a good job. It wasn't that he wasn't dropping the ball. He made the best arguments that were available to the property, so, you know, you can't second guess what he did at this point.
To your point, I agree with you, but Dick was only being driven by what the client wanted, and the decision here is that they wanted a 15-foot wide house on a 35-foot wide lot. Or actually, at one time, it was 20-foot wide, or 21 feet wide, as I recall, on the 35-foot stuff. So they kept asking for bigger, and again, the Eiffel Tower comment was, something I remember distinctly, and I remember just at that point cringing and saying, there's no way that, here we go, we can do whatever we want on this property, and you can't, okay? And everything is within reason, so, whether or not, again, my opinion, again, as a layperson for the law, okay, you have a lot that we could possibly build a house on, albeit it's a small lot.
It's an unbuildable lot.
Everything in that decision, and I remember, because I had to litigate it, all right? So
Yeah.
we got into the nitty-gritty of that decision, and there were statements made about it being the narrowest lot that the board's ever been faced with, basically turning from an access strip into a building lot. They would be creating the narrowest building lot they've ever been asked to create. That's not changing. Based on, whether it goes from 15 feet to 14 feet wide, it doesn't change the underlying rationale for the decision. You could still make that argument somehow that your change of plans somehow should change their reasoning, but they have to decide whether it's a material enough change in order to justify going forward with the application again.
So Tara Noonan Amaro. So I understand that the guy before me was a pain in the ass, right? Because he was a pain in the ass when I was buying this property. And all he talks about is lawsuits. I mean, he was ready, and he wasn't even the owner, and the husband was talking about lawsuits. That is not my nature. But since all of that started, the housing market has changed. If you're telling me that I can't build a small house because at the time of all the back and forth, it didn't make sense. There are things like ADUs now where people are building homes 10 feet wide because the housing market has changed, properties have changed. West Hampton is a great place to live. My mother just moved back from Florida. My two brothers live here. I'm coming back for my 45th high school reunion next weekend. I've been flying back and forth to try to make some sense of the chaos that the prior owner caused. And I did go back and look at prior applications. There are skinny lots. There was an article in the Times a couple of weeks ago about a man down in the 700 has a 14-foot lot that he's using as a parking lot right now.
Not
because
buildable.
But he's using it because he wants to enjoy it. It's down past the line.
And by the way,
What's
the
that?
board never said you can't use the property.
I
There was a prior application made to put a walking path on this property that was approved. That was approved by the building department. And that was one of the reasons why the board turned down the application to put a house on it.
But
So you're not
that's,
being told you can't use the property.
but I can't use it to get the full value of the property.
Were you
And
aware of the decision when you
I
bought
was
it?
aware of the decision of the lawsuit. I was not aware that we would not be able to reestablish the fact that, quite frankly, there was so much animosity when anybody brought up the name of this property, that a lot of the ill will that the prior owners caused, I don't believe it was Carrie, I do believe it was her husband, because he was ridiculous, that a lot of the ill will was associated with him and his unreasonable demands, okay? And his, his swags of, here's what we want to do.
But we
The
don't,
f- The fact that,
ill will has no effect
Yeah.
on us.
I understand that, but
Okay?
he's,
Because we have to look at just the facts. We have a 5-way test.
right, so I've been
So-
watching the
Right.
exceptions that are being made, and while I have a skinny lot, I'm not asking for an exception that percentage-wise is any different than some of the people getting 20, 30, 40 feet decisions on a lot that may be a little bit
But
wider.
then you didn't read the decision before you
yes.
bought the property.
I did.
Because if you read the decision, you would realize this would be the most extreme, one of the most extreme variances ever granted, were it to be granted, because it would be creating a buildable lot out of something that's not buildable.
But what's to say
And
that
so-
buildable can't be redefined? It's a
The
different.
decision that was made,
Yeah, but-
that was
but
litigated,
things get
that you're
revisit-
asking to be undone. That's
Things get
what-
revisited all the time. West
Okay.
Hampton has been revisited
You're right.
over and over again.
You're right, you're right.
And I'm
that's
asking that
why,
we revisit
ma'am,
to build a small home.
the process for revisiting a decision requires a unanimous vote by state law, okay? So if you want them to revisit the decision, we can ask the board if someone is willing to make a motion to revisit the decision and find out if there's a unanimous approval,
And that's what we're here for.
That would be
okay?
That's what we're here for.
I would also point out to you that many years ago, there was a property in the R4 zone that the village wanted to donate the property to Habitat for Humanity to build on it. And the board couldn't approve it because it was too small. The property they donated was too small, and we denied it. And that was for Habitat for Humanity. So, I mean, we have to look at doing the right thing for the village, we were round and round about this application for so long. I just don't,
It's a new time and it's a new owner.
it's not, you know what, it's not a new time. It's not like we're looking at something from 40 or 50 years ago. We're looking at something from, what was the year, 2022? This decision, so it's not a different time. And I can empathize with you, but if you bought this property, we have had so many people inquire about this property, and we told them the history of it, and they backed out, and you chose to buy it, you took that risk.
I did take that risk.
You took that risk, and it's not,
And also, to raise the issue, I mean, you're making it sound like you're putting up affordable housing here. You're not putting up affordable housing on the Atlantic Ocean, right? That's not what you're proposing to do. So to compare it to ADUs that are being put up to help with workforce housing and affordable housing around
I would
the
be willing to
state,
do that.
this is not what you're proposing
So
to
you
do.
would
No, I'm
prefer
not-
that
and I'm
I
not,
park
no.
4 RVs in the lot?
No,
But
it's not a
these
building
are
lot.
options that I now have.
That's not an option.
That's not an option. Let's go back to there's 2 questions that need to be asked. So let's get to those questions. First question, does the board consider this a materially enough a materially different application so that it would be treated as a new application? That's the first question.
And have you seen enough to determine that?
That's the first question.
Oh,
So it's
we have
treated, I'm
already,
sorry, what did you say? Just
To
I've
be
already-
treated as a new application.
I've already addressed that. You make it a little bit smaller, but it's still the same thing. We're trying to build on a piece of property that we determined, that was determined several years ago that it was unbuildable.
But that's not his question. He asked if it was materially different. Have you seen enough to understand if the size and the scope
Right,
of the
and I said
project?
we already addressed that. I don't see it. No, I don't
But have you
personally.
actually seen anything?
All right, this is not an arguing time, okay? Let's hear from the other board members too.
Joe?
No, I haven't seen a material, material difference. That's great enough.
But have you seen anything that shows what we'd like to do now, other than what Nick just explained?
You're arguing with the board. That's not what we're
I'm
here for.
asking a question, okay?
No,
Jim?
no.
Not material.
Dan?
So the second question then is, it has to be treated as a reopening, right? Requires one board member to make a motion to reopen and a unanimous vote of whoever's present today.
Okay.
Does anybody want to make that motion?
No, I'm not me.
Okay. Just for the record, reflect that nobody wanted to make that motion.
And if I were to pose this, would the village like to buy the property from me?
That's not their
I'm just-
decision to
I'm
make.
just putting it out there.
That's not their decision to make.
I mean, I'm just putting it out there because I do feel that there could be a conflict of interest.
Not for this
I
board.
understand that, but I am.
Nothing to do with this board.
I am concerned that.
We have nothing to do with that.
The inability
We
to
wouldn't-
reopen a discussion. Look, there have been lots
we
of
had a
properties in West Hampton that
No,
have
no,
been
no.
reapproached. Stillwater's was reapproached. The construction on Main Street went through multitude of designs.
Never through this board, never through this board. I've sat on this board for 29+ years. We have never reopened a case, a decision that we denied. Not once in 29+ years that I've sat
Even
here.
when there's been a new ownership. Even when there's
Ever.
been
It's
new
not new
Ever.
ownership, by the way.
Ever.
You can't keep saying that. Egret Dunes Corporation was the same applicant. It's the same party requesting. It's the same party that sued the zoning board. You're not a new owner. You may be a new shareholder. You're not a new owner.
Okay, I have gone to the title company because one of the considerations we discussed was if having a change of title would make you feel more comfortable, and that would be considered. Quite frankly, it's gonna cost me $20,000. I've got a daughter who's in the hospital. I'm not looking to spend any money where I don't have to. And so I have been looking at options that would make you feel more comfortable. I could just do a transfer, pay the Peconic tax, do the whole thing, investment property transfer and all this thing. It's still gonna cost me more money. I'm willing to make those accommodations if
Variance
I thought that
goes
there was an
with the
option.
property. The variance goes with the property.
Yeah, and you shouldn't talk about the Peconic tax because the transfer of ownership, even of shares, requires payment of a Peconic tax. So let's not have
Well, I
that
get it,
conversation
but if
on the
But
record.
if changing the owner would make you feel more comfortable,
not-
I'm willing to make that investment.
I think you're missing what the basis of the denial was. It wasn't about who the owner was. It was about the property not being a building lot. We spent 2 years in this room talking about that, and then another several months in 1 Court Street, Riverhead.
It's very frustrating.
I'm sure.
Very frustrating. And I do think that this is tied to the people that presented it and how they presented it. When we did have validation of a separation of property, I would not have pursued this if I thought it was an unbuildable lot. And that there was an opening to be able to at least have a conversation about reconsideration.
I think we are having that conversation. We are having that conversation. Okay?
it's
And you're
very
asking us to do something that we're not going to do. And we've had the conversation.
Very disappointing.
I'm sure it is. You wanna
In good faith, is there any way that you would be able, I think what is it called? They poisoned the well, in essence, and you guys might be inclined, if it could go either way. It's not going. At least in good faith, could you, with at least one person, reopen it and then say, here, these are the problems? Like, at least give it a shot. I mean, the well was poisoned. I didn't know, I wasn't there in Supreme Court. There could have been accommodations, and he could have taken different positions. I think he dug his hole, going to Supreme Court, they dug their hole deeper by going there. I wasn't not involved. I guess Mr. Haefely was involved. We're just asking for a shot, that's all. And there might be a benefit to the village. What if she put up hypothetically, a cabana, one bedroom, just to be able to go in the summer or something? That's taxable. The village would benefit from that.
The determination was that transforming this access strip into a building lot would have an adverse effect on the village. So to say that, this could be a benefit to it's contrary to the decision that was upheld by the court. So
one could make the
we're sort of
argument
going
that if
around-
you have a house there, it's a hell of a lot more taxes than a vacant lot.
This board doesn't act based on taxes. You know that. Come on.
I'm just asking she's a local girl, she went to West End Beaches High School, been here her whole life, her father was, just give her
Hold on
a
second
shot.
now. Let's not make it personal. It's not personal. It's not personal against you, and it wasn't personal
But
against the previous applicant. Has nothing to do with it.
I was here since day 2. I look around the village. Look what's going on in this village. Deers are getting hit every day on Montauk Highway. Everything's getting built up. New condos here, new condos there. One of the trustees wants to put a Dockers down at the yacht basin. Let's just build, build, build. Would be a small little house, and it seems like this disparate treatment to me. It's only my opinion, but that's what it seems like. Every square inch of this village is getting built up, and we're just trying to see if we could get within limits, not grandiose, one little bedroom, whatever, anything you guys would be willing to approve within the lot, and I'm trying to make it work, and you could,
We understand, but you're asking us to go, again, this has gone for countless hearings that we welcome with this.
one could argue
Our
the
decision
prior
went
applicant
through-
blew it,
You know what?
blew it.
You can't go there. You can't go there. You are the applicant. It's not the prior applicant. It's the same applicant.
But
Egret
there's
Dunes, sir, Egret Dunes Corp. made the application, spent 2 years in front of this board making the application. You were representing them for a brief period of time. You were in, you were out, and Nick was in and out, and we had different architects and a different attorney. And Mr. Haefely didn't blow it.
No,
He did
I'm
a
not-
good
I didn't say-
job.
But
He
it's
made
a
the best
different
argument he could.
controlling interest of the corporation.
But that's not a basis for making the decision. The decision's not made based on who happens to be the shareholder of the corporation.
They have a different vision and want to comply with the village if possible.
So, may I just, on that point, just one last comment. So the comments we made that nobody saw anything substantially different from the original application, okay? So again, thinking from an architect standpoint, substantially different would be that, correct?
No.
No?
You don't get to grill the board in a,
Okay.
you can't do that.
Okay.
You can make whatever applications you want.
But-
That's it.
but I
You
can't
don't
make-
get to ask them,
I can't make that-
basically pre-tell us what would, you know what, they made a prior decision saying you wanna put a pathway down from Dune Road to the ocean or over the dunes.
Right.
That's a possible use of this
Which
property.
which was an application that was put years ago. That was
Yeah.
there. But basically, that was the only.
But you're asking the board to tell you, what size house would you
No, I'm not
allow us
asking
to
the
put
board
forward?
to say, I
They
get
can't
the
do
word
that.
substantial.
I'm not gonna let them do that.
Okay, all right.
Can you
Sorry.
define substantial?
No. No. And don't forget, you guys sued us. And you might wanna say it wasn't me, but it's your corporation, sued the village. You know, better or worse, we spent a lot of time and a lot of effort on the application of Egret Dunes Corp. So,
Again,
You-
if I had
you-
changed the name, would that have made a
No,
difference?
it wouldn't have. It wouldn't
not
have,
a
because you
building.
bought knowing what the decision was. That was your choice.
With the understanding that maybe there could be consideration.
That may be your understanding,
Reopen.
but there's no,
I've-
I don't know what you mean by
I have built
understanding. It's
19
not,
I
there's
have
no
built,
such thing as an understanding that you have a right to reopen a zoning board decision.
I have built 19 homes, and I'm not even a builder. I, for family members, for friends, and I've never worked with a zoning board that wouldn't reconsider. You know, a property was condemned, they said it couldn't be built on. You know what, you go back and we say, we're gonna bring value to this lot, we're gonna build a house that a family of 4 can sit in, rather than having a condemned property open. I've never had a board say no to something that could benefit somebody. I'm paying $675 in taxes. Might not be about money, but it is about access. Okay, it is about giving a family a place to live. It is about my ability to return to this town, because I can't afford to return to this town, because everything is so expensive.
I don't know what other options you would have with this property, but this board is not going to open the decision.
Okay.
We're not gonna revisit it. So we can stay here and hammer it out and
It took us
not
4
happening.
months to be able to have this conversation. At least, I mean, I bought the property a year ago.
But again, this is the first time it's on our agenda. We wanted to have a discussion. We had the discussion. You asked the question. It's been answered. Your frustration notwithstanding, it's not going to change anything now. We're done.
Thank you for your time.
All right, we have a few decisions to go over. Oh, yes, let's make a motion that we close tonight's hearing.
Second.
Second by Jim. All in favor,
Aye.
closed.
Aye.
Thanks, Tony.